WrestleZone presents Lost in the Midcard. Here are your hosts, Jeremy Bennett and Matt Black. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podcast. We are on the doorstep of WrestleMania. It is Lost in the Midcard. Welcome and thank you for joining. As always, we are here live for you every Monday evening at 7:10 Eastern, 6:10 Central, leading you up to Monday Night Raw. We'll get you set up for what is going to happen tonight on Monday Night Raw. Probably a Cody response to the Rock concert. Yes, we got another Rock concert on Friday. We'll talk about later on. And some more stuff as we are getting very close to filling out the 2 nights of WrestleMania, which is just around the corner. And if you haven't done so already, make sure to head to WrestleZone. That is one word, WrestleZone on YouTube, and give them a subscribe and hit that bell icon so you know every time we go live, which is every Monday at 7:10 Eastern, 6:10 Central, and anything else that drops on the channel as well. I'd like to thank everybody in the chat here, but first let's talk about ourselves. I am on the Twitter at JB Huskers. My name is Jeremy Bennett, and as always, my co-host, he is on the Twitter at Raw F Showtime, is Mr. Matt Black. Matt, how you doing?
I am doing well, my friend. How are you?
Good. I survived St. Patty's Day.
Thank God.
I went out early, so and I was supposed to go to a concert, or not concert, but a show. A friend of mine's band show last night. That got canceled due to illness, so I took a 4-hour nap and then played Suicide Squad till about 4 a.m. So
there you go.
But yeah, 4-day weekend coming to an end for me now, and then I got another 4-day weekend next week, so I can't complain. I'd like to thank everybody in the chat. If you are lurking and want to join in on all the fun, join us in that live chat. We'd love to hear from you. Mark Cho, Ozzy, Frantic World, and Uncle Howdy all in. Thanks for joining us, guys. We are we're going to talk about a few things, but if there's anything that is what you want to talk about, you want to drive the show, feel free to do so in the chat, and we can talk about it. But let's get into our main story from Wednesday. Of course, the big AEW show, AEW Big Business, happened on Wednesday Dynamite in Boston at the TD Garden, sold out TD Garden Center, and that lady right there finally officially made her AEW debut, Mercedes Moné. Though it was confirmed that she's been under contract for the last couple of months, but just waiting for the right time for her to make her debut. And Matt, I would assume this was a good time to make her debut. Boston, a big Dynamite they have set up, almost like a pay-per-view kind of deal. You know, leading into Dynasty and other things coming up here, and some other women coming back into the division. I think this is almost the perfect time to bring her back, don't you think?
Oh yeah, well, there was no reason to bring her back until she was cleared. And basically, from everything we can gather, when she signed her deal earlier this year, she wasn't medically cleared to compete yet. So there was no real reason to just bring her in to talk, for a month and not be able to get physically involved with anybody. She got physical on night 1. So, I mean, that immediately answered anybody's question of if she was cleared or not, because she wasn't going to get in there with Julie and Sky Blue if she wasn't physically, cleared to compete. So I thought it was a great debut. They gave her the CM Punk treatment, which says a lot about what they think about her. I think it says a lot about AEW's future plans for their women's division. And I think it's all onward and upward from here. I think they might hold on until Dynasty to give her first match. Like, I'm not sure if we're going to see her compete on Dynamite between now and, in April. But, if they do, I'll probably put money on it being in the main event. So
Yeah, I thought it was a good debut, good song. You got the song that will enable the fans to chant CEO along with it. And she thanked Boston, saying she's home. And I mean, it's 2 years. It's amazing. It has been 2 years in the making, because that's literally how long it's been since she's been on U.S. major wrestling television. It's insane that it's been that long already since her and Naomi walked out of WWE. And she said she had some unfinished business with Willow, of course, going back to the New Japan days. And it'll be interesting to see who all she mixes it up with. Obviously, a lot of people want to see, run it back rematch with Saraya somewhere down the line. Obviously, then you got some returning stars. Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter probably are around the corner from returning as well. You just had Thunder Rosa return not too long as well. Deonna Purrazzo debuting in the division. If this can come out and be booked the way it should be, Matt, this division could rival a knockouts division in Impact Wrestling as one of the better female divisions in pro wrestling, don't you think?
I think the knockouts division has already taken a ton of hits.
Yeah.
This year. So I don't think TNA is in nearly the position they were in at this time last year as far as their women's division is concerned. I think AEW and WWE are on pretty equal footing with the talent that they have in their women's division right now. It really just comes down to how both companies choose to utilize the women and the division as a whole on their programming every week. Because to me, I think the sky's the limit for WWE or AEW when it comes to their women. They have to be put in the position to succeed, and the company needs to care enough about the division to give them that spotlight, regardless of negative backlash or whatever they might get in response to it. Rome wasn't built in a day, and these women's divisions aren't going to be built in a day either. WWE went through a lot of growing pains with the women's revolution, to get to the point where they are now. And they're still not perfect. They're still not where, a lot of people would hope they should be, but their world's better than they were years ago. I mean,
Absolutely.
It's a process.
I mean, we had bra and panties matches. I mean, come on.
I know a lot of
mud pit
people,
matches.
a lot of people just want things immediately, and they're
Yeah.
not willing to wait for the companies to figure it out and get things done correctly. But I feel like by the end of 2024, there's a good chance that WWE and AEW, their most talked about stuff, could be coming out of their respective women's divisions.
Yeah,
It just comes down to how the top brass book the divisions of both companies throughout the course of the year. I think each company has all the tools in their disposal, if they want to have insanely popular and competitive women's divisions this year. It's all there in front of them.
WWE's been able to figure out how to have more than one woman's story go on, where in the past that's absolutely not happened. AEW can tell a good story, but you don't always see it every week on television. You may only get one women's match. They still have some figuring out to do, but they also are doing a good job of telling multiple women's stories in the company as well. And
they've done a lot more two women's match shows in this year than they have in their entire existence of their company. Like they were telling people without telling people that Mercedes was on her way. The renewed focus on the women's division in AEW in 2024 clearly surrounded the fact that they put pen to paper with Mercedes earlier this year.
Yeah,
like to me that was not a coincidence. That was by design.
And then after that, we got the AEW World Championship, Samoa Joe, Wardlow, and really there was no contest, not really near falls, no drama. Joe just
beat that ass.
Made Wardlow go to sleep. He made Wardlow go to sleep.
I think we can all put to bed the Wardlow main eventer push for the time being.
A long time, yeah.
Like they didn't even attempt to protect that man.
No.
They could have protected him in the finish, and they didn't even raise a hand to bother. To me, that was AEW either sending the fans or Wardlow a message that you're not going to be where you want to be on the card right now, and you just have to deal with it.
Yeah.
That's
MK
the only way I saw it.
MK in the chat, he says that Willow will win the TBS title at Dynasty, and then at Double or Nothing, Mercedes beats Willow. Is Willow and Julia official yet? I know they're definitely going towards that.
It hasn't been officially announced yet. No.
Street fight between the 4 women in the feud with Statlander on Willow's side and Sky Blue on Julia's side. That'll be on Rampage next week or this week.
It's essentially a 3-hour Dynamite on Wednesday night. Because Rampage is on from 10 to 11. It's all one.
Is it?
It's one big 3-hour show.
Oh yeah, there's no collision.
Because all the March Madness bullshit.
Yep.
So AEW program is taking a massive hit this week. But hey, we get a 3-hour Dynamite out of it. I'm not really complaining. I think that'll be a lot of fun. The Dynamite card on Wednesday is pretty stacked. We'll be talking about that later on.
Absolutely. The Elite taking on Penta and Pac and Eddie Kingston. That was great. Good to see Pac back in the ring. Pac also took on Aaron Solo on Collision, and he's looking for trouble.
Apparently the match was originally supposed to be with Commander, but Commander got injured in his match with Takeshita on the Rampage tapings
instead of Penta, or
no, it was supposed to be Pac and Commander on Collision.
On Collision. Okay.
And Commander got injured in his match with Takeshita on the Rampage taping, so they had to pull Commander out of the match.
Will Ospreay
was definitely another blow to Collision on Saturday night. I didn't think Collision was that good of a show on Saturday night, to be honest.
You probably agree, a 2-match show with Shibata and Danielson. Jesus Christ, that was great. And Kyle O'Reilly's first match in about 2 years against a very good Brian Keith.
Shibata and Danielson open up the show was amazing. And then the second hour we had Kyle O'Reilly and Brian Keith, which was awesome. And I thought the rest of the show was just whatever. This was the least interested I've been in a Collision in probably a month or two. It wasn't one of their better shows. I feel like it was laid out very poorly. I think they would have been better off with Copeland opening the show with the promo and closing with Shibata and Danielson, or even close it with O'Reilly and Keith.
They're doing the thing now, though.
The layout of the show Saturday night really did not do Collision any favors.
And WWE has been doing this more lately too, but AEW has really done it. They did it a lot with Rampage, where the best match would be the first match of the night coming off.
Well, that used to be the Saturday night's main event formula.
But they want to give
WWE would kick off Saturday night's main event, and the main event would be first.
And they probably wanted to give Shibata and Danielson all the time in the world and not have to cut them off. So
I mean, fair, but I think it hurt the overall show in the process, because there was nothing on that show that compared to what opened it.
Yeah, exactly.
You started the show down here, and then you just slowly started to decline. You had a little bit of up for O'Reilly and Keith, and you went back down. And it just, I don't know, man. I could not get into Collision on Saturday night. After the opener and Collett and Brian Keith, I as much as I enjoyed Big Business on Wednesday, I was very disappointed in Collision on Saturday night.
Will Ospreay cut a tremendous promo on Wednesday to the fact that reports came out of WWE that maybe Triple H might have underestimated the worth of Will Ospreay, being a total package as he is, that we know he is. I mean, he was our marquee, award-winning wrestler of the year of all promotions in 2023. And so, my God,
the thing is, Triple H doesn't have as much free time as he used to.
No, he don't.
Triple H used to be able to watch everything that was going on outside the company, so he could have a general idea of who to bring in and who not to bring in. He doesn't have time to do that anymore like he used to.
But you should have some people though.
Yeah, but Triple H makes the final call. People were telling Triple H, and he didn't want to hear it. Triple H didn't think Ospreay was a promo guy. And Ospreay over the last, I would say over the last 2 years to a year and a half to 2 years, Ospreay has really come into his own with his promo work.
Wow, that one Wednesday was awesome.
And I think there's a lot of people that are just seeing him now in AEW that know him for his work that are just now realizing that, damn, this guy is the complete package.
Exactly.
And AEW scored a big landing with getting Ospreay.
Stephen Chambers.
Big stuff.
Stephen Chambers, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us. Anybody that's watching us here live on YouTube, feel free to give us a chat. We'd love to hear from you. April 1st, Bray Wyatt documentary on Peacock. That's gonna be a tearjerker for one.
Yeah,
but,
I want to see it, but I don't want to see it. If that makes sense, I know it's gonna be an emotional. It's gonna be an emotional doc. It's gonna just tear my heart out. So
Jay White took on Darby Allin. Darby Allin broken foot through that match, so he will not be climbing Mount Everest. And also, the Bang Bang Scissor Gang is done to Matt's happiness.
One, thank God that the Bang Bang Scissor Gang is done, and two, I am so happy that the universe intervened on Darby Allin.
Right?
I truly believe this was the universe stepping in and saying,
"You're gonna die,
Darby. I don't think it's a good idea for you to be climbing Mount Everest this year. I'm gonna make sure that you can't."
Yeah, you're gonna die.
I think it was. I think it probably saved his life, man. That dude's already banged up to hell and back, and trying to climb that mountain with all his pre-existing injuries would have been bad. The broken foot put it over the top, and I'm so happy he just gets to sit at home for a few months and recuperate and rest up on his injuries, and then he can come back to AEW. He can get his revenge on on Bullet Club Gold, and we don't have to worry about, heaven forbid, losing that man on that mountain this year. I'm sure he's going to want to go back next year, but hopefully the weather conditions next year are better than they are this year, because all the reports coming out are saying that Mount Everest has some of the most dangerous weather conditions that they've seen in a long time in 2024. So I think this all worked out for Darby in the long run. I'm sure he thinks it sucks, but I'm happy for him that we're not going to lose him. He's going to be able to get healthy. He's going to be able to heal up all his nagging injuries. He's going to get his foot fixed, and he'll be back, hopefully, I would say probably by All In. I would say, like, I'm just guessing. I'm not 100% sure how long it takes to heal from from the broken, he has 3 broken bones in his foot, I believe it was.
It'll be about 2 to 3 months.
Okay. Well, I honestly, I'd hold him out till close to All In. There's no reason to rush him back right now. Let that man heal up. That man, he does to his body every time he's in that ring, that man deserves to have a couple months off.
Angie in the chat, welcome. She agrees. Darby, she simply says, Darby, don't. Brienne liked and shared. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for joining us here, Brienne. MK Bullet Club really missing Juice Robinson. They are. I mean, that foursome has been a great foursome, and Juice is the glue of that foursome, and so they definitely need him. Steven Chambers, Jericho needs time off more than Darby.
Well, that's a completely different. This is an apples and oranges scenario between why Jericho and Darby both need time away from AEW. Yeah. We're talking totally different reasonings, but Steven, I agree. I think Jericho needs to give the AEW audience some time to miss him. And I think if Jericho wants to go on a world tour with Fozzy for the next, 4 to 5 months, I think that would be a good thing for all parties involved.
I thought you were going to say 4 to 5 years.
No. I think a few months would do him in the AEW fan base a world of good. I really do.
And we're so used to that throughout ever since the days of WWE. And for those that don't know, Fozzy's been around a very long time, and so he would do the exact. He would step away a lot of times within WWE. Frantic World, I enjoy Collision, but yeah, Darby needs to stay at home after that crazy pay-per-view match. I mean, he still had sutures in his damn back from that glass. But anyways, Benjamin saying Mercedes will just hurt Saray's neck again. I don't want her to break her neck. I don't know about that, but
very dumb comment.
Main event, Willow and Riho, and of course with Julia and Sky getting involved. Mercedes, Moné making the save at the end to pop the crowd there. Mercedes is her contract with AEW confirmed to be multi-year and is 100% healthy following her foot injury. So Mark Raimondi of ESPN has confirmed the multi-year deal there, and of course Fightful Select confirmed it and also and said that she's been signed for a couple of months now. And Mercedes, after the debut, she was interviewed by Evan T. Mack on Kick Rocks. What a cool name for a show. She was asked about the progress of the women's decade and says it's been so beautiful. And I don't know how many are there, but there's probably 30 women. And then you have the main, she's talking about WWE right now, and then AEW and Stardom, what they're doing with women's wrestling right now. And we're all winning. Matt, I mean, isn't it high time that we get another damn Evolution pay-per-view, for crying out loud? I mean, we had one.
That would be really. I would love to see WWE do another Evolution pay-per-view. I don't think they're going to, because they internally panned the last one, which I think was completely unfair.
Internally, as in Vince or
management, from my understanding, just like the whole lot of people like deemed it as a failure, like financially.
Yeah.
But I think you have to build upon these things. You can't expect an instant success one event out of the gate.
Yeah.
I think a lot of wrestling companies are too afraid to take risks right now in terms of making sure that their women's divisions are taken care of properly.
MK, we'll talk about the tag tournament thing here in a little bit, but next we're going to go on to our next major story, and that was, of course, on SmackDown this past Friday from Memphis, Tennessee. We were not only treated to yet another rock concert, we had the return of the Hollywood Rock theme. How about that, Matt?
I need his cooking back.
I know.
Yeah. I need to me, it's not completely Hollywood Rock until we at least get the is the whispered is cooking thing with it.
Was this a redo though? Because they can't.
It sounded like a bit of a remix. Well, they've definitely mixed two of his themes together there. They blended two of his themes together, and it did kind of sound like a remix. It didn't sound like,
because Hollywood, the original is probably a Jim Johnston thing that they are not going to pay for.
I mean, they own all that shit anyway.
They do? Oh, okay.
They don't have to pay for any of that. They own anything Johnston did.
Okay, I didn't realize that. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would assume that'd be a Johnston thing with 2003. What were your thoughts on the rock song that was highlighted with a Flex Kavana shout out, a fanny pack mention, Dusty on drugs, which led to Cody being an accident and turning into Stardust, all sorts of fun things, even a Ja Morant gun mention. What were your thoughts on the rock concert part? I think 3, maybe. I can't remember if this is his 3rd rock concert, but
I can't remember.
What were your thoughts on the presentation?
I wish he would have had some extra original material, because the second half of his segment was all him repeating Instagram. Everything he said in his social media video earlier in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And to me, if you're going to do that, don't put it on social media ahead of time.
He did that also with a 20-minute video.
Why am I listening? Why am I listening to this all again? It was an 8-minute video for that Friday afternoon, and he basically repeated all of it on SmackDown.
Yeah,
so
he did the same.
Like what? Why?
He did a lot of that on that 20-minute video too. He repeated a lot of that on SmackDown too.
Yeah, but taking a couple clips from a 20-minute plus promo is one thing, but to almost go word for word from the promo that you did hours before on a Friday afternoon to SmackDown that night, I was just like, this wasn't necessary.
The only difference was cuss words.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cuss words. Steven Chambers, any word on Asuka getting injured? Well, she's been pulled from the road. Did not look good, her hopping around, but yet she was still kicking.
Sounds like a knee injury.
She was still kicking people, though, but no official word yet.
I'm hoping it's not serious, but if it is, dude, no one can tell me that those WWE Women's Tag Team titles are not cursed.
They are very cursed.
They are 1,000% cursed, and they have been since Mercedes and Naomi left the company. They are 100. They are freaking cursed, man. I'm hoping Asuka's okay, but given the history of people holding those titles, I don't know if it's very likely.
Breaking news from Jeremy Lambert at Fightful Select. Pharaoh has broken his silence and is called the Rock a cat.
Well,
in other words,
not breaking news from Jeremy. Cody posted the image.
Yeah, that's true. In other words, he's calling the Rock. Pharaoh's calling the Rock a pussy. That's pretty funny stuff there. Oh man, I thought the Rock concert was well done. It was funny. You know, we haven't had one of those for a while. You should have fully expected it. But yeah, you're right. I mean, all the way to the end when he pulls out the Rock's belt, you know, so
he is not. He's on a streak right now, Ozzy. No reason for Jeremy.
I got new equipment in the computer too, so and updated everything, so hopefully that's fixed that. But anyways, yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what Cody's response is on that. Speaking of interesting, we're going to have a little bit of cross promotion, and then it actually involves the WWE. It was announced that on WrestleMania weekend, the great pay-per-view from Josh Barnett, Bloodsport, the 10th edition of it, is going to be a part of the GCW Collective, which is, I believe is still available with your Fight Plus or Triller subscriptions. And Shayna Baszler is going to be headed to Bloodsport to compete. I don't think they've announced her opponent quite yet, but she has been announced to make her GCW debut at Bloodsport, which, again, something Vince would never do is something Triple H is doing. Cross promotion.
I have a prediction of who her match is against.
Okay. Marina Shafir?
I think it's Ronda Rousey.
Oh, okay.
Because Ronda's going to be in town doing a book signing in Philly for WrestleMania week. I think it's going to be Ronda. I really do. But there's also reports out there that are suggesting this isn't the only WWE talent.
Nope.
That's going to be on the show. I don't know who else we might be getting, but this is the exciting thing about when open minds are in charge of wrestling companies.
Yep.
In allowing these bridges to be mended and put together and allow companies to work together. It's a beautiful thing, man. The Shayna Baszler thing is to me a sign that someday, I'm not saying now, I'm not saying in a year or two, but someday we could potentially see, some kind of crossover between WWE and AEW. And I know that's probably like the biggest bridge that would ever need to be crossed.
Yeah.
But to me, time heals all wounds, and I just feel like something, 4 or 5 years down the line, I could see the two sides coming together to do some kind of interpromotional thing. I think that would be some of the coolest shit that we've ever seen in this industry, and maybe that would finally end the WWE AEW tribalism wars once and for all.
Mark Cho jokingly saying Roman to Effie's big gay brunch. Shayna could appear at that as well, though. Acknowledge. No, but that's something Shayna could appear at as well.
Roman won't even show up to SmackDown, let alone a GCW event, guys.
I saw a stat that said the Rock has appeared at more SmackDowns in 2024 than Roman has now.
I don't know if it's SmackDowns, but I think
TV.
I think WWE programming. The Rock has appeared on more episodes of WWE programming this year than Roman Reigns has, and that's a problem. That's a problem. And until they take that title off of him, it's going to continue to be a problem. That's why Cody needs to win that damn title and finish his story at WrestleMania. So then Roman can go off and take all the time off he wants. You don't have the title anymore. I don't give a fuck.
So, looking at the roster of people that probably have nothing to do on WrestleMania weekend that probably could appear at Bloodsport, I could see Apollo Crews possibly showing up there. I think I don't know if he's got some fight background in his I don't know if he's got MMA background or fight background. But I think that'd be a good one. I know Bobby Lashley. I don't know if they're going to do anything with him. He would be a great one for that. But I don't know
I
if
don't think it'll. I don't think it'll be anybody who's scheduled for a match at WrestleMania.
no, yeah, it's going to be people that won't be on the card
Yep,
on.
I believe they want to make sure that, like, heaven forbid, if one of these competitors they send over there to work this and they get hurt,
Mhm.
then it's not going to affect the WrestleMania card. So if they're booked on Mania, I don't foresee them having any involvement in any of these events this weekend or that weekend. But just the fact that it's happening is exciting. It gives us a big possibility of what the future could hold, for the wrestling industry as a whole. I think this is a very positive step in the right direction.
Yeah, Mark Cho makes up a good point. Baron Corbin, of course, he's a Golden Gloves boxer.
And he might
Not
be he might be working stand and deliver.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
he's one half. He's still holding those tag titles. I would expect him to be on stand and deliver. So I can't foresee Corbin being booked on
is
one of those shows
is
at this point.
Dabba-Kato still with the WWE?
I think so. I don't know. I'm honestly not sure. He might have been released.
Yeah, I can't remember because we have not seen him. So that
Yeah, I
yeah,
can't. I can't remember either.
yeah, it depends. Lashley would be cool, but you don't know if we're gonna do Final Judgment and Lashley and the Street Profits. We don't know if we're gonna do that at Mania. They keep fighting each other, and then they're gonna be
Well, it's
authors of
it's gonna
pain.
depend. It's gonna depend if the Street Profits get in that ladder match or not.
Yeah,
Well,
because
I guess the Authors of Pain will also have a shot to get in that ladder match too. But
they
I
face each
think
other.
to me the Street Profits are much more likely to be involved in a ladder match at
Ozzy
WrestleMania.
Braun,
Like, I mean, Authors of Pain have done a ladder match before in NXT, but
yeah,
to me, I think Street Profits would obviously be the better choice
it'd be some
for
great
for
spots.
for the big stage
Braun,
at WrestleMania.
Ozzy Braun's hurt. He's on the mend. Um, I forgot what his injury was off the top of my head. But
Yeah, I'm not sure why. I can't remember what his injury was, but he'll be back at some point this year.
yeah, it'll be interesting to see who else shows up. Fightful Select has confirmed multiple WWE superstars are going to appear to that. So very cool to see that. And yeah, Steven Chambers. We learned just recently Angelo Dawkins' mom passed away. So that's some sad news
Yeah,
there.
that
We learned.
sucks.
Yeah, we learned of that just a couple of days ago. Moving on to the next topic here. This past Saturday, almost 2 years out of the ring, we got the return of Kyle O'Reilly. And he took on Brian Keith in one of the few highlights, as Matt and I would agree on, one of the few highlights of Collision this past Saturday in a great match there. AEW cameras caught up with O'Reilly after his match with Brian Keith and said, quote, "In moments and times like these, I'm reminded how much it hurts to be a professional wrestler, how much it hurts to hit the mat, how much it sucks to get chopped and kicked. I'm reminded of why I fell in love with this sport again to begin with, man. I'm reminded of how deep of a roster we have, how talented of a guy Brian Keith is. I'm reminded how great the AEW fan base is. I know I said, I mentioned at the time I didn't want to join the Undisputed Kingdom, but that didn't mean that I didn't want the support of my best friends. Before I knew it, those guys were out there and they were hugging me, and it felt really good. I'm a really lucky guy. I get a chance to do this again." And it really did not feel like 2 years off, Matt. It felt like he just got right back onto that bicycle, didn't he?
Match ruled, man. Him and Brian Keith,
Yeah.
tore it up. It was great. It was great. It was great to see him back in the ring. Brian Keith was a perfect opponent, one of the best. Honestly, like, he can get in there, work with anybody. So I thought it was a great match. Like I said, that match and Shibata and Danielson were the real standouts for Collision on Saturday night. For the rest of the show, that just kind of left it, for me personally, left a lot to be desired.
Yeah, and MK nailed it on the head. Archer and Claudio was great until the finish.
Yeah, to me that completely soured me on the match as a whole. When the Righteous came out, I threw up my hands and I groaned. I'm like, that's the kind of show we're getting tonight from Collision. It was just very disappointing.
Stephen Chambers very likely, it says, slowly building to Kyle and Roderick for the international title. Would not surprise me if that happens at some point this year at a pay-per-view. Mark Cho, maybe WWE should said Barack.
Yeah, that's not happening.
Speaking, this was brought up earlier, but yes, the tag team tournament brackets have been announced. The finals will be held at AEW's Dynasty pay-per-view on Sunday, April 21st. Already a wild match there with the Infantry upsetting the House of Black. But of course, I guess we're probably setting up Infantry against FTR, kind of like the promo suggested on the right side of that bracket, don't you think, Matt?
Yeah, we're getting it. I'm not looking forward to it.
I guess Mox must be hurt.
Here, that's the only thing I can. That's the only thing I can figure for why Mox and Claudio aren't in this tournament. We have not seen Mox since Revolution. Renee's still at TV Weekly, so it's not like they're on vacation together somewhere.
Yeah.
So to me, I believe Mox has to have some kind of injury that no one knows about yet. Nothing else makes sense. To me, you don't put them over FTR at Revolution and then leave them out of the tag team tournament. It doesn't make any sense. Between that and Jeff being hurt and being unable to get the Hardy Boys in there, like, this tournament bracket kind of sucks.
It's probably Bucks and FTR again.
It damn well better be, because if it's any other combination in the finals, I'm not gonna have any freaking interest in it. Like, I am not thrilled at all. Like, I was hoping this tournament would go a long way in reestablishing AEW's tag team division, and then I looked at who they put in it, and I'm like, yeah, this kind of fucking sucks. So
on the top of the bracket, Young Bucks are going to take on Private Party. Undisputed Kingdom will take on the winner of the wild card match between Best Friends, Don Callis family, which will be Fletcher and Hobbs tagging together.
Best Friends will win. Best Friends will beat Undisputed Kingdom. Young Bucks will beat Best Friends.
Yep. And then on the other side of the bracket, Ricky Starks and Big Bill take on Top Flight. FTR takes on the Infantry, and it'll probably be FTR and probably Starks and Big Bill.
That's what I do. I do the rematch, and I give FTR their win back because they lost the titles to Starks and Bill. So I would put FTR over Starks and Bill in the semis, and then you do FTR and Young Bucks at Dynasty.
Is that 3?
And that's a great match. Like, everybody thought we were going to get that back at Full Gear.
Yep.
And everything went sideways, and it didn't happen. So, I think that third match between those two teams is long overdue. I would imagine that the Young Bucks will win. Just because I think they can do a lot, as the heel EVP role with the titles. I think there could be a lot of entertaining stuff with that, and FTR is probably better chasing Matthew and Nicholas right now anyway, especially with Cash dealing with that court drama BS right now. So
yeah,
it just makes all the sense in the world for the Young Bucks to win this tournament.
It does, especially with how good they are as heels now. You probably are going to expect Okada to take that Continental title from Kingston down the road.
Oh, so that's this Wednesday on Dynamite.
That they might all hold gold by the end of. They might be all holding gold by the end of Dynasty here, possibly.
Yeah.
And for anybody that is a tribalistic fan of hating one company or another, well, first stop. Just enjoy wrestling. But if you're on the WWE side of things, you might want to learn something. Bryan Danielson, who knows a lot of people in WWE, says that the majority of the WWE wrestlers in the company want AEW to succeed because it is better for everyone. And that is correct. I mean, if you remember the time of the Monday Night Wars, two companies were succeeding, and we got the best end of it. I mean, Matt, you said it yourself on a great Twitter post earlier this week regarding numbers and such, man. So, I mean, if you want to repeat that for the class.
Well, everybody's so obsessed with these ratings in 2024. And to me, it doesn't make any sense to be this hyper focused on something that hasn't mattered in the grand scheme of things in almost 20 years, because the Nielsen rating system is so outdated, and the amount of people who have cut cable in the last 5 years is staggering. I linked to an article that showed millions of people have gotten rid of cable since 2017. And I went back to the debut of Dynamite in October 2019, and I added the average of Raw's ratings in 2019 of October 2019, and then I averaged their ratings for the month of March 2024. And both essentially have lost an average of 600,000 viewers. Yet wrestling is more popular now than it was in 2019, than it was 20 years ago. Like, literally, wrestling's more popular now than it's the hottest this industry has been since the Attitude Era. There's no debate on that. All the metrics beyond stupid TV ratings prove that every single thing you look at. So the fact that people want to continue to like point at these numbers and act like they actually mean something, they don't mean a damn thing. They mean these deeper numbers mean something to executives and advertisers, and they see the deeper numbers that none of us see. All we see are the overnights. We don't see the DVR numbers. We don't see the plus sevens. We don't see any of that shit because none of that stuff's reported on. It's just the overnights. But yet TBS has come out consistently in the past year and said that roughly 4 million people tune into Dynamite every week. 4 million. And that means all of their numbers that they have are doing that, which means Raw's probably seeing somewhere between 6 and 7 million people tuning into their show every week.
Which is where they were.
These numbers that you're seeing now don't mean shit.
No.
These numbers aren't real. Because you watch Raw and all that, and I watch Raw and Dynamite and all that, and so many fans, I would say 90% of wrestling fans who watch these shows on cable, they aren't even being counted because they're not a Nielsen household. There's only from my understanding, there's only 50,000 Nielsen households in the United States. And then they take the numbers based on the people that are watching, and then they inflate them into some made-up number to justify what they're trying to say. It's an archaic way of trying to track a popularity of a sport when you just look at every other metric and number and see that WWE and AEW and every other wrestling company are booming right now.
Yeah.
And that's what matters. I would like to hope that when the media rights deal with Warner Brothers is reached this year, that more people would stop, worrying and complaining about this shit, but I'm sure they won't. I think some people just want shit to complain about, which is honestly extremely disappointing. I purposely went out of my way to try to do a non-tribalism post to just say wrestling is hotter than ever. Cable is falling off. That's why the numbers are falling. That's why WWE and AEW have lost numbers from 2019 to 2024, yet their popularity has risen across the board. But still, people want to turn that into a WWE versus AEW argument, and at that point, I throw my hands up at you and I say, off is the direction that you can fuck.
Yeah. Looking ahead to tonight and Wednesday, let's start with Wednesday. Dynamite is going to be in Toronto, and yet another loaded Dynamite, much like Big Business. We're going to hear from Mercedes Moné. We're going to have Chris Jericho taking on Hook. We're going to have Mariah May and Toni Storm taking on Deonna Purrazzo and her tag partner, Thunder Rosa. As we just mentioned, the Continental Championship on the line. Kazuchika Okada is taking on Eddie Kingston. And, of course, your main event, an I Quit match for the TNT title, Adam Copeland, Christian Cage.
I'd almost argue the card for this week's show is better than Big Business's card.
I think you're right. Yeah.
I think this card is way better.
Hook and Jericho's going to be a damn good match.
I think that's the weakest thing on the show.
Yeah,
It's the weakest thing. Like all the matches announced, Hook and Jericho is the weakest thing on the show. When you can say that, you have a pretty damn good episode of Dynamite lined up on Wednesday. And like I said, we only know one match of Rampage right now, but it's that street fight. And anytime we've seen a tag team women's street fight in AEW, they've always been bangers. Yep. Every single freaking time. And yep. I don't expect anything different from those 4 women when they get to do this on Wednesday night in the 3rd hour Dynamite Rampage, whatever you want to call it. I think they're going to freaking knock it out of the damn park.
Yep, I would assume that Will is probably going to pin Julia and set up that Dynasty title match there for the TBS title down the road. Do you see the TNT title changing hands finally?
I do.
Away from the Father of the Year.
I do. I think Copeland's going to go into almost like a Cody Rhodes type of role with that title. I think they're going to bring back like the open challenges and stuff like that.
The Cope Open. The Cope Open.
Yeah, but I think we're going to see like maybe even some people outside of the company show up to challenge for it and stuff like that. I think Christian's done everything he can with for that title right now, and I don't really think he needs it.
The only downside to this match,
the character that he's currently doing. So
the only downside to this match is Nigel McGuinness will not be on the call for it.
I think that'll be beneficial for Copeland. So.
Oh my God, Nigel is
Christian Cage.
Nigel is just on fire lately, and it's
hilarious.
So good. Like they're talking about how O'Reilly's recovering from his neck injury, and he's a type 1 diabetic, and then Nigel goes, "You don't need to sugarcoat it." God, Jesus, Nigel's the best, man. Let's see, Monday Night Raw starting in 2 minutes. And we've got a full slate on the preview here. Becky Lynch, Nia Jax in the last woman standing match. Awesome Truth taking on Indus Sher to qualify for the ladder match. DIY taking on the Creeds also to qualify for that 6-pack ladder match. Alpha Academy taking on the New Day. So we've got a lot of qualifiers.
Who are you two? Who's your 3? I want to see if we're in sync here.
Awesome Truth, DIY, and New Day.
Okay.
I think
we're on the same page.
I think we're going to start to see a downfall of Chad Gable to where he turns heel.
Well, Gable's not involved. It's Otis and Akira Tozawa.
Oh, they're definitely New Day.
Yeah. Yes, it's Otis and Akira Tozawa. I think the only question mark. The slight question mark is DIY and the Creed brothers. I don't think they've pushed the Creeds enough lately to put them on Mania. And I think that was my same argument for last week, that everybody was upset that Gable lost to Sammy. And my argument was Gable's been cooled off tremendously since his match with Gunther last year. And I don't think they've really done enough with him recently to justify the match with Gunther at Mania, where they've been building Sammy over the past month and a half for this match. So that's my reason. That's why I think DIY is being positioned for this match as well.
It's a matter of who we've seen more.
Getting that win tonight.
It's a matter of who we've seen more lately. We've barely seen Indus Sher. We've not seen the Creeds much lately, and we've not really seen Alpha Academy much outside of Gable. I think Gable was getting hot though, and I think I don't know. I mean, you never know. You may still get entered into that in both secondary titles or triple threats. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Maybe Gable shows up during the contract signing. Could make things interesting. I don't know.
Can't rule it out.
We got to see if the word ladder is being used at WrestleMania. We got to see Kofi. We got to see and we got to see DIY, I think, in my opinion, and we got to see the Street Profits, and that ladder match is going to be so nuts.
It should be really damn good.
I think there's going to be one team grabbing one set, one team grabbing the other.
That's my hope as well. I'm hoping they somehow split the titles on this match.
We've got Dick Wolf has already passed us. We've got the WWE Together logo.
Time for us to go.
let's wrap this baby up. Hope you guys have a great week. Once again, thank you to tuning in to Lost the Midcard with Matt Black and myself. Follow us on the Twitter. We'll be live tweeting for the next 3 hours. Have a good week. And don't forget to come back and see us again next week. Take care.